Harley,
Hell yeah, that's fucking dope.
thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you
Glad
so
that.
much for being paid. Man, I'm an idiot. I don't know if everyone is aware that I just got the timing wrong there. I've never
No,
had a.
yeah, I covered for you. I said, well, I don't want to I said, I don't know what time it is there. He might have just overslept. And then,
I just had it as 4 in my head, and you had this set up like months ago.
yeah,
Like there's no excuse. So
it's
if I were
okay.
you, I would have been like, wow, I guess he's being, I guess this is it. I don't know. He
I
doesn't
mean,
want to be on the show. But that was
Roseanne
not the
Barr was
case.
on time. Yeah, Roseanne was on time. You know,
Roseanne was on time.
I'm just saying.
That
Yeah.
old fat bitch.
yeah. So if you're just tuning in, we're live both on Rumble. We're on the front page of Rumble. I think we got close to 4,000 trickling in, and then we're on YouTube right now. This is Harley Morenstein. You may have seen him in many forms. Through his Epic Mealtime channel, through his foray into influencer boxing, his new podcast, Binge Eater Podcast.
That was a
All
great
of,
sizzle you made for me, by the way. That was really fucking awesome.
yeah,
You
I was
pulled
my
out the
editor.
chicken
So.
nugget, cake. They pulled out like a weird epic meal, like one that I didn't even produce, but
Oh, whoops.
with no one with Fluffy Gabriel Iglesias.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That
Anyway,
was
sorry I didn't interrupt. That was just awesome though.
yeah, I'm trying to plug you here. But yeah, that was Al. I've got two video editors and they always try to do like a little sizzle reel on to, get for the guests. But all of his links are in the description below. His in his YouTube channel is which he posts his podcast on the Epic Mealtime channel, but it's also his Spotify is also down there, as well as his Twitter. Anything else you want people to know?
Mostly the podcast I've been enjoying. We're starting to upload a couple videos again on Epic Mealtime channel.
I saw that, yeah, when I was doing my prep.
We filmed that so long ago. Like if you look at it, I have long hair and I didn't have a boxing match yet. I still had faith that I might win my boxing match and not get punched out of the ring.
Well, I'm glad. I was like, kind of. I know that Al the guy that did your sizzle reel. I was like, I assume he's going to put that in there, and then like he didn't, and I was kind of like, he probably thought you would care, and I'm like, he doesn't care,
No,
like,
that's cool. Better play it safe. Be like, what if he's like a baby YouTuber man child and gets mad or something like
yeah,
that?
he probably thought, he probably thought like, I don't want to make him mad, especially when it's like literally the first thing that you see. But I do have some level of structure. I'll try to get you out of here. I'm sure that you're busy
No, I'm
now.
good, dude. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm sure you are. I fucked up the timing. I'm sure you have
Well,
like 9 videos to upload in an hour.
Yeah, that's true. That's somewhere around that. Fridays are usually lighter, like 4 or 5. But Harley, when I remember, honestly, kind of when I think back, because we both kind of grew up, we actually existed in a world before YouTube, right? When people had like websites where they would post
before
content,
times.
and the before, BYT. But when I think back, like historically, and I'm not like blowing smoke, the first channel I can ever remember watching, or it's certainly 100% the first channel I can ever remember telling anyone about in my life was Epic Mealtime. It was one of the biggest phenomenons really of that era, and still carries a lot of clout. And you've been really open in your conversations looking back at that time. But as a creator myself, not I just read other people's articles, but do you remember like your first? Because I kind of have a distinct memory, like the first time you're like, oh shit, like I can do this for a living. Do you remember when that was?
I do remember. And I'm now older. I'm 38 years old now, and when I started the channel, I was 25. At 38, I don't know if I would have had the same mentality that I did at 25, but 25, I was pretty quick to be like, "Oh, I do this now."
Oh, okay.
I put up the first video. I got really lucky. The first video got 100,000 views, 120,000
that was
views.
a lot back then.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
like
and
a million now. Yeah.
Exactly. And it was like, but it was enough that it was like, whoa. Then the second video came out, and the second video got like 300,000 views. And I was like, I do
Was
this
it?
now.
Yeah. Was there AdSense back then? And when you first, so there was. Yeah. Okay.
So there was like the first round of YouTubers that, like, for example, one of the first YouTubers who I knew by name was Freddie Wong.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I watched him for like 3-4 years before I uploaded my first video. A lot of those, Smosh, Shane Dawson, a lot of those people, they were up like 5 years before I made a channel. And I remember at the time, good, he's so good. I remember, I remember at the time being like, watching YouTube, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but I was 25. When you're 25, you think you're so fucking sick. You think you're the sickest guy. I watched YouTube, and I was like, there's no good shit on YouTube. I'm going to make shit on YouTube. And then I put up my second video, and I'm like, wow, YouTube's my full-time job. Whereas I don't know if I would have had that crazy confidence now at 38. I'd be like, oh, I don't know. 2 videos. Not like we're going to have 3 videos. But at 25, I was like, yeah, we do this every week now. Every fucking week.
Yeah. This is just it. I think that for me, it was Hucky. He insists on being up here in the office with me, but as my chat knows, whenever the mailman comes, he is standing, he's sitting.
Oh, yes, I wanted to see it. That's so funny.
He's like, I'm gonna kill him.
Yeah.
Thank you, Huck. Yeah, he's ripped all sorts of holes in that screen too. He'll stop momentarily.
It's fine. I have 2 dogs, and they're like complete fucking idiot dogs. So when they bark, it's not like that's a deep.
That's a
bark.
big boy bark.
That's
yeah,
a deep bark. My dogs, I have a Chihuahua and a Yorkie, and they're just 2 fucking morons, and their little barks are so obnoxious. So I'm happy to hear your boy there, but those are my boys.
Oh,
complete little morons.
Oh my god, my cats are bigger than that.
Yeah.
I think for me, I think I approached it as a business from the start. So I had done this computer repair channel with the intent of I was doing computer repair for a living, and I was doing these tutorials. Remember screencast era of YouTube when people had the whatever that screen grab, everyone had the same software.
Yeah.
And I would do oh, here's how you format your hard drive. And I made this total normie content because I got sick of answering these questions for friends and family members. And then I was I got a AdSense check for I think it was $400 in a month. And I was like, cool, I'm a YouTuber. $400. I mean, what, and this is in 2003. I mean, it wasn't enough to live on, but I was like, oh, this is just it now. I was young. I was 23, 24. And I was like, okay, this is pretty easy. Just sit in my computer, smoking cigarettes.
So you jumped on YouTube right away. You were there right away. The first couple years, you're already.
Yeah, I have channels out there that what's funny is I actually sold that channel. So I started with a website. It was called Be Your Own IT, and it was it was just a little forum. I was watching a guy named Chris Perillo at the time a lot, and he was popular doing computer repair stuff. It's oh, there's only one guy that does this. Pretty sure people want more than one person that does this. So I built the site, and then I went to school for marketing, and I learned about AdSense on websites. Mm-hmm. And so I had this forum, and it was oh, I made $300 last month. And it was oh crap, I can do this on YouTube too. I ended up selling little toolkits, teaching people how to make money repairing computers.
Were you in school? Oh. Were you in school? Were you a student or
I was 20. I was 18. Yeah, I was in school for sure. I was 18, 19 doing that. And I mean, I'm 40 now. So this is a long time ago. This is back when like video game YouTubers only had machinima to get paid. Like
And they signed perpetual agreements.
Perpetual agreements, and then like yeah, and then they had back when I started, the big deal was you got to 10,000 subscribers. That's like a modern day 100,000, and you could change your banner, and you could have like a custom banner. That's how like young YouTube was. I was like, oh snap!
Yeah,
I could put like my own banner.
You're
now
like, I could do
it.
like Sexy Phil does and use a bikini to get you to watch the news. And for those
Ray
listeners,
William Johnson.
Literally Philip DeFranco's channel was called Sexy Phil, and he would post like a girl's ass in a bikini, and you would click it, and then you would literally get him to be like, "What's up, guy?" and give you the whole news thing, and you're always like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, damn it, Phil got me again.
He did. It worked back then.
I love that era of YouTube.
Different game.
Yeah, it was great. Now it's like, I mean, you never had to compete with like Fox News and all these corporate. I mean, look at even cartoons. Like there are huge factories pushing out animation on YouTube just because there's that one channel that like all the babies watch and has like 100 million subscribers, something insane. So it's so like
Hey Bear.
That might be one of them. That doesn't sound like the one.
Well, there's a thing called Hey Bear Sensory. You know about that?
Oh no, I don't.
Oh well, if you're ever bad tripping on hallucinogenics or psychedelics, they say open up the Hey Bear's baby sensory sound YouTube. It has like 200 million views, and I'm like, this can't be all people tripping on hallucinogens. I'm sure this is like baby content too, but it's some of that stuff. Sorry, it's just
no. You're good. You're good. Yeah, Oh, Coco Melon is the channel I was thinking of. Yeah,
they're like shit.
Same shit. Yeah, and I'm just like, what is this, and why is it like? There's no like, when I watch YouTube videos, my favorite YouTubers are people that like still have that early style. Like I like if I'm watching someone's videos, it's like someone with just like a camera and a mediocre mic. Those videos like that's like the appeal of a guy like Airsoft Fatty. It's like he's been making the same shitty quality videos for 20 years. But like that's the era of YouTube that I liked the best.
Yeah.
There's a guy, Fat Swordsman. I don't know if you ever seen him.
No, I don't know him.
He's just this fat guy, obviously, and he loves swords. But he's also like he's also poor. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's not just a clever name. But he's also like poor, and he's super serious about being like a samurai and shit. And you're watching it, and it's just like this guy doesn't care. He's buying like a $30 sword, and he's like reviewing it, putting it through, and then you like flip side, there's like some sword review channel or something that's like hyper produced and reviewing like $5,000 swords, and I miss that era.
That's so funny. My buddy, actually a buddy of mine, shout out to D. He was on Node, which is part of Corridor Digital. That was like their other channel.
Yeah.
And he runs Node now, but he has his own channel, Cerberus Arms, and he's like a gamer YouTuber. He does a lot of stuff. But one time he got a sword at the mall and did something with it, and the video got 2 million views. And I remember being on the phone with him. I was like, "So, are you a sword YouTuber now?"
Yeah,
he's like,
right.
He's like, I think I am. He's like, I'm buying more swords now, and YouTube does that shit,
dude. Remember
you could be doing something, and then which era?
Remember the hydraulic press era? Where like people were
of
buying
course,
presses and like
of course
the 10,000 degree knife era.
But
like,
that stuff for me, it was I had bought a whole rig to set my camera up to point directly down at the table, so I could do
That's hard to do.
fucking top. It was hard, so I could do those fucking top down videos that were so crazy. And at the time, I remember people being like, "Wow, Epic Mealtime, your views are shit." I'm like, yes, I am aware. On YouTube, the views are not what they used to be. However, on Facebook, where I'm still getting paid, some of these things are getting like 20 million views, and it's just an epic meal, but we also film it down this way, cut it up into a square, put it up on Facebook, and we're like, who made this, with emojis?
Isn't it great?
And now it's like completely different format, but it's the same filming, the same ingredients. That era I think is around the same time as the hot knife and hydraulic press, the top down. That's when factories, like you were saying, like for food, we did an episode every single week, and then I remember going to Tasty. like the
Oh,
huge their location. They're like, let's do something together. And I'm like, yeah. And I got there, and they had a factory of top down videos.
oh
There was like
yeah.
25 chefs all there, and they all had
Single rigging. Yeah.
cameras pointing down, and they were all doing the thing. And I was like, holy shit! I do like 3 of those a week on top of my epic meal, and like my guys are like, oh my god, free us or we're gonna sue you.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. And you ever see like those they're in Asia somewhere. I don't know where. I don't want to say it and be wrong, but it's like
Lady
Korea or
boys.
Japan.
Oh
No, 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 no. I mean, I think that's Thailand, but I wouldn't
yeah.
know. But the
We wouldn't know. Hey, chat. We wouldn't know.
I've only heard of it.
Not us. Not the big hairy white men. We wouldn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, but have you ever seen those like where it's like a factory of like cubicles and it's like all like hundreds of people like bedroom vlogging and stuff? It's
Yeah.
like dystopian.
It is.
I'm
It
like,
is really
oh,
crazy that that's the future we got. I've seen that where it's like dozens of people under an overpass because they're in the range of a Wi-Fi, and they all have their
yes.
ring lights, and they're literally under an overpass. It looks like it's like China or something, and they're all doing it. They're all live streaming it. It's so fucking bizarre. And then I'm like, wow, that's so weird. I can't believe that's their life. And then I come into my basement with like action figures and stuff. And I'm like, people playing games. I'm 40.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I collect toys. The
Same.
what is the so this question isn't meant to be disrespectful. I know you're not soft, so you're not gonna take it that way, but
No, of course not.
you know, with Epic Mealtime being one of
I
the
thought you were going to call me the K word. Sorry, you continue.
oh no, I have
No,
the
no.
juice stuffs later. The with your legacy on YouTube is cemented as one of the greatest of all time, but obviously we know the modern day YouTube, the way the algorithm has changed, the way that you're incentivized for long videos, all this kind of stuff. What made you, because I've been through lulls before, but like what made you like come back and say, fuck it, I don't care if it doesn't get 3 million views. Is it the love of just still the love of the content, or what made you kind of like say, wow, I don't really give a shit, I'm just gonna keep pumping out videos?
Yeah, there's like, because you know what? There's definitely like a huge amount of like, you got to have like no shame to an extent to be Epic Mealtime was at one point in the top 5 most subscribed on YouTube.
Yeah.
There was weeks when we got 25,000 subscribers. There were months where we got millions and millions of views, and I mean, all this happened when I was 25, and I was a full-time teacher before that, and I always thought, like, I always role played, what if this isn't going well? What if the views aren't there? Epic Mealtime, for me to sit in my house and be like, I got Jack Daniels and bacon. I'm about to fuck up this egg sandwich. And if I did that at 25 and that didn't get views, and I did that every week, my friends and family would be like, bro, are you good?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
like, are you good? Like, what are you doing? The show, why are you yelling at the food and getting drunk every week? And I'm like, it's an idea. Trust me, you'll see. If it didn't pop off, everyone would be worried about me. But when it was happening, I still thought, like, what if this doesn't last? It's like, I'd be a fool to think that this is a forever thing. And so when the views started to fall off, but before they fell off, I already started to kind of, for some reason, it was every single week. We never took a break. I started to hate the character that I played.
Yeah.
And I started to hate the show. And I thought it was a drag. And what's really ugly is, because it's still uploaded, is you can go back and find old videos of Epic Mealtime where I fucking hate it. I'm basically like, here,
there was an
bacon.
era.
Yeah, I'm like, you fucking happy bacon? Oh, Jack Daniels. And we got a couple bitches. Okay, go fuck. Hit the like button. Get out of my face.
Yeah,
and I wasn't, within a couple months of that era, I kind of had this moment where I was like, why am I mad about the YouTube that I do? Why am I mad about that? There's a million people that want to do YouTube. Why am I mad that this is what I'm in? Like, I'm not a chef. I'm not, like, I love food. I love the whole thing, but it wasn't there's like a weird thing, and if I was younger, I would have fucked it up more. And a lot of YouTubers do it. YouTubers
Dude.
are basically like, I got 1 million views. I'm an author, and
Yeah.
I'm a rapper, and I'm a boxer, and everyone loves me, and I'm always right, and I'm gonna and like you get gassed up because you get all these comments, and so I was like, oh, I should be on. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. I should be in a movie. I don't know exactly what I was thinking at the time, but I felt like I was above it. But in a couple months, I wouldn't have done that if I was younger. I came back around to being like, oh, I'm super lucky. And this is really fucking cool. And I own this show and I could do whatever I want and I could upload whatever I want. I'm like, so let's just upload whatever I want. And the views were already shifting at that point. And I kind of got to this place where like prank YouTube was blowing up when my views started to shift. And I had countless meetings be like, you should get into pranks. And I was like, did you ever think that I won't make videos just because it gets views?
Right.
Like I'm not going to start a drama to get the views. I'm not going to do something on purpose like pranks to get views. Nothing against pranks. 99% of them are shit, but like 1% of them are really, really good. Yeah.
On sexual.
Yeah, exactly. Epic foot stepping on white shoe in the hood gone wrong.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Race bait was the worst shit, dude. I remember Joey Salads was like one of the worst at that. Like,
well, one of my favorite YouTubers of all time is FouseyTube. One of my favorite videos ever is FouseyTube got his hair tattooed on his head. Did you see that video?
Yeah.
That's one of the that is one of the greatest YouTube videos of all time. I literally once I got taken down once. I have it saved.
Yeah.
That's the only YouTube video I have saved on my computer. Like he got his hair tattooed on his head on a whim, which is the craziest thing for someone to be like, yeah, I'll do that. But he's a guy that like when I first saw his channel and he would do pranks and he would get so many views, I'd be like, does everyone think this is real? Am I fucking
never thought
crazy?
It was real either. I'm
not even for a second.
Yeah, that was the weirdest thing. But kids, you forget like 13-year-olds exist. I remember that era and I was like, yeah, right. I mean, I've been to the hood. There's no way this dude's going to the hood and stepping on people's shoes. Like he would literally get murdered. And it was like, it was that whole era of prank YouTube. I didn't like that they demonetized it, but just like everything, people could take it too far. Like pranks are fine. Race bait pranks, advertisers don't like that stuff, or fake, like, I think didn't Sam Pepper like
handcuffing girls,
handcuffing people,
handcuffing girls to you, and then be like, "Gotta make out with me to be free." Or something. It's like,
I'm gonna sexually assault you. Pranked. Yeah, that was weird. By the way, if you're just tuning in, I'm joined by Harley Morenstein from Epic Mealtimes, Binge Eater Podcast, and obviously Twitter and boxing fame. And one thing I meant to ask you, this is something, you talked about feeling lucky at the end. Like I kind of at that position with my career too. Like the channel's kind of, it's not shrinking yet, but it's, it's matured. I've basically reached pretty much everyone I can. And you start spending I don't know if this is how you were. I have a feeling, but you start spending your money more wisely. But so many YouTubers, dude, and I hope this didn't happen to you, but they get that first big check and they are like, they're totally out of their mind. They piss it all away.
They spend it on something crazy.
Yeah, they buy a freaking sports car. Now look, I've bought some fancy stuff. I'm not going to pretend like I haven't splurged, but like I've always had that little, man, this could all go away. And then when you were talking about like, hey, I like near the end now where my channel's more mature, I find myself thinking like, man, I'm pretty lucky. Like, you know what? Maybe I'm just going to put a little extra money in my 401k this month because it could all go away at any moment.
Yeah. I like, I mean, looking at behind you, it's like not that different from like behind me.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like, I see you got like the Switch. What is that? Like, is that like a 10-gallon fish tank?
Oh yeah. It's just a little.
Yeah,
little Zen tank.
like let's be honest, you could probably get like a 60-gallon fish tank.
Salt water.
The collection you got behind you could be crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're like me, but I don't like expensive toys. The most expensive toys I like are literally toys. It's like this box set of the Power Rangers. And
that's nice.
6 scale, like literally toys. I'm not like, my type of toy is G Series AMG Mercedes with custom. Like I love that stuff, and I think it's great. Yeah. But one of the most expensive things I ever wanted to buy was a Rolex for $50K. And I walked around and I looked at the watches and I was like, who the fuck am I?
Yeah.
I scratched every Timex watch I had. Am I just going to go get this Rolex to be part of the club?
I did the same
and that's
thing.
what I wanted. And I went shopping and I looked and I was like, I'm going to fuck this up. I'm going to like, knowing my luck, like Cardi B's going to drug me and like take it from me while I'm sleeping. Like I'm going to get fucked over. And I was just like, you buy it and you're still like, I could afford to lose that and not freak out. I would fucking lose my mind. But like, it was still, I'm like, I don't have that. I don't have that in me. And even, we have a mutual friend, Sam.
Yeah.
I'll call him up with some stuff like that. I'll be like, oh man, like he was buying Rolexes for his guys. And I was like, dude, wanted a Rolex for so long, but like, I'll fuck it up. He's like, that's how it's got to be, bro. He's like, that's how it's got to be. He's like, that's part of it. It's like, you got to get it, not give a fuck. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's just things like, I don't like the expensive stuff. And I always paid myself like a reasonable amount because I kept money in case shit went wrong or I wanted to produce more content or whatever it is. So, I mean, like, I'm good. Like, I'm not here like, oh fuck, what am I going to do with the views? And to be honest, maybe if I did buy expensive shit, I would freak out more and maybe it would drive me to, I don't know,
be more desperate, make poor decisions.
Play the game. Because I don't play the game on YouTube like I should. I don't play the game when I stream either. I never do the meta. I never get into the things. I just make shit that I like to make.
You're not doing wearing a hot dog suit and filleting a hot dog on TikTok. That's not you.
Wait, is that
the thing? The glizzy guy. You've seen that video, right?
What's the glizzy guy? Maybe I did.
He's all I can do is show you because I don't even know how to. Are you familiar with the
glizzies? Very.
No. The NPC. Like,
yeah. Oh my God, I know who you're talking about.
Okay,
that's so good. That guy.
Like
when he's like, glizzy overlord.
Yeah. Like, what? I'm like, dude, you're a grown man.
Yeah.
But like, I couldn't. That's how I've always been with, like, when it was early. That's what I think comes from having a job before. And like being an adult before you get to the YouTube quote unquote money. I'm saying like the average person starts making $20,000 a month. That's a shitload of money. And most people will and if that happens to you when you're 17, 18, you're going to make horrible decisions.
Yeah.
By the time I started making any kind of real money, I was already in my mid 20s. I had a mortgage and I did splurge on a few cars in my life, but I pretty much always just, I buy little, memories from my childhood and, maybe I splurge every once in a while, but I could never do the watch thing. I could never do the hype beast phenomenon. I could never spend that kind of money on clothes.
Oh, so you know what? That's where I fucked up. I fucked up a bit there. I have an era where I liked designer clothes.
Okay.
And the thing is, I didn't get too crazy. But I bought a couple items that a year later I looked at and I was like, well, this is interesting. Here are my designer clothes that I bought like last year, 2 years ago that are ugly, embarrassing, and cringe. And I can't believe I must have been on coke when I bought this.
Yeah.
And joking, by the way, guys, relax. This is an interactive art experience, and I'm playing a character.
Yeah,
so
that's
I'm
right.
coked out, and I bought these designer clothes. But I look at that, and I'm like, this is silly. But then there's this other section of designer clothes where I'm like, so this wallet, this belt, these shoes, black wallet, black belt, black shoes, things like that. These are good. I wear these shoes every fucking fancy event I have.
Okay.
These basically like Gucci loafers that were the same thing that they were like 70 years ago.
Yeah.
And they're not fancy. They're not the new version that's a collabo with Migos and has Donald Duck on the side. It's just the black leather shoe. There's no Gucci on it. There's nothing on it. To anyone, it looks like a black leather shoe. This thing, when it fucks up, it rips or gets worn down. You could send this back to the company. They'll fix it up or they'll send you a new one because they don't want you walking around with beat up Gucci shoes. So you kind of have this like a membership. And I like some of that stuff. Unfortunately, there's casualties like these fucking dumbass looking Donald Duck furry fucking other Louis Vuitton collabo bullshit. So there's two camps. And I did get caught up. I bought like Kanye West shoes off
What's the most you ever spent on a shirt?
Wait, on a shirt.
Is that, I mean, yeah.
No, it would probably be like shoes.
Okay, shoes.
That would be the most expensive. $2,200.
That's strong.
Yeah, that is, and like those. And unfortunately, that's not like the pair that I love. The pair that I love that can last forever is like a $1,400 pair.
Yeah,
the $2,200 pair.
That's like buying a good suit, though. If you spend the money on a suit and you don't wildly fluctuate in weight, it can last you a long time.
Yeah, or if you're gonna bring it in more.
Yeah, right.
If you have room to get it tailored a little bit, because getting it like if you get your suit tailored, you get the shittiest suit ever. But once you get it tailored to fit you, if you go see a person, I go to see Salwa, this old Italian woman.
Of course,
I've gone back.
How's she on that inseam? Does she get a little?
She's the best, dude. And like even if she doesn't have materials to work with, she'll make it. And she always asks for just $5.
That's it.
I give her a 20 every time. I'm like, $5 gets you nothing today.
Yeah, that's not even an extra value meal anymore.
No, like, not even close.
Yeah, that's always wild to me. The price of fast food, as a connoisseur of it yourself, isn't it wild? Like a decent, like I would say, like there's like McDonald's tier fast food, and then there's like second tier fast food, like Arby's or maybe Wendy's. Like it's $10 or $12. Like it's nuts.
Yeah,
I remember that shit was $2.99.
Yeah, Wendy's used to always be like a touch more than McDonald's. It was like a step more in terms of cost. But now McDonald's is shit. I'm looking at McDonald's. I'm like, if you cost the same as some of the other guys, like you're not the choice. McDonald's for me was the choice when it's the most. It's the cheapest.
A double quarter pounder with cheese meal, large fry and a Coke under $5. Can't beat it.
Yeah,
like when that was the era, like forget it.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, McDonald's in Canada is so different in the US. It's much better, much better. And Wendy's in Canada is one of the most consistently good fast food spots. Like if you're ever in Canada and you're out, I promise you Wendy's is one of the best. It's crazy. Wendy's is really good. In Canada, what's your favorite fast food? What's your favorite number one favorite fast food like location?
Well, we have a location called Culver's. They're not in Canada, but they're in the Midwest. If it's like if I had to go like national chain, I actually like Arby's a lot. Like their market fresh sandwiches, I think are pretty good. I mean, it's $15.
You want to hear something fucking crazy, Jeremy?
Yeah.
You want to hear something fucking crazy?
Yeah.
My birthday is July 20th, so it was a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I tried Arby's for the very first time.
Oh, really?
This year on my birthday. I always, Simpsons gaslit me into thinking Arby's was shit. The Simpsons literally gaslit me. It's because the Simpsons had like 5 jokes about Arby's.
Yeah.
And I was gaslit, bro. I was like, Arby's is shit. Bart said so. Homer said so. It's over. And then my buddy drove a beef and cheddar to my house, and the closest Arby's 2 hours away. and he drove it to my house, and it sat in the front seat of his car.
Nice. Yeah.
And he got there and he gave it to me. He's like, yeah, it's been in the front seat of my car for a while. He goes, but it should still be pretty good. So I opened up the beef and cheddar, first time having Arby's, and I bit into it. And I was like, wow. I'm also aware that this is 2 hours and it's been sitting in the car. Wow. Yeah. I had it all wrong. This was very tasty.
Yeah.
It didn't look good, but that's fine. I never
They look
take.
sloppy.
I don't like when people take a McDonald's burger and open it up and look inside. I'm like, what are you looking for in there? It's a fucking gross gray patty, a bad squirted cat. Don't look in there. Don't ever lift up the bun. The bun doesn't even want it. The bun is sometimes stuck to the burger. It doesn't want you to.
Yeah.
But this Arby's, I bit into it and it was biting through the bun. And then, like, that was the craziest part, is that when you bite through the bun and the meat, you don't know when the bun is over and the meat has begun. It's all just like a soft ball. But that sauce on there was fucking great. That sweet sauce, that like sweet barbecue sauce.
That's a super popular item in the States too. People dunk on Arby's all the time. And I used to too. And then a friend of mine worked there and he's like, bro, get a Market Fresh sandwich, order it maxed. It's like double meat. He's like, just order it max. It's like $2 more and you get double the meat. So I go there, I get their Market Fresh sandwich. It's like roasted chicken, bacon, avocado, double chicken. That sandwich was awesome.
That sounds like good right now.
Yeah,
that sounds good right now.
I was like, what have I been doing?
Yeah,
like,
you were gaslit.
Yeah, I'm a big Arby's supporter. Shout out. We need
Arby's bought Subway
coming our way.
Arby's bought Subway. Yeah.
So now they're gonna have real meat now. Maybe
is that crazy? Is that like crazy? Like, how crazy is the world right now? Arby's buying Subway. When did that happen? I remember Subway was like, look, they were like, look at this guy's jeans. Look how big they are.
Yeah.
Oh, stop looking at that guy. Forget that guy existed.
Yeah. They, in the States, Subway, there was like a huge scandal where like some health inspector came in and tested their meats, and they had like so many byproducts in it that didn't actually even qualify as turkey or chicken. So it killed them. Like everyone stopped eating there. Then I saw last week or a couple weeks ago, I picked up Subway because my mom likes it. And I was like, I'll get Subway. And then I walked in and there was like, we cut our meats fresh.
Yeah.
They must be on that Arby's.
No, it's a whole
meat delivery. Yeah.
Subway has done a whole new thing. They have a whole new menu, and they changed how they make sandwiches, what they do. Like in Canada, the Subway, if you go in there, all the sandwiches have new names, and every sandwich
here too.
Yeah, and they all come stock, which you don't realize. Cheaper to build your own. All the ones that you choose on the board come double meat, double cheese stock.
Genius.
So they're like, it's the cost is there built in. So unless you build your sub, you're going to be getting a more expensive sub, but you could still build your own, and it's fine. I always thought double cheese was a waste there because their cheese
double
is kind of
cheese is a waste.
Double meat
is solid, though.
It's good. Yeah, definitely double meat. Yeah.
Sometimes I go, there's like these old Italian sub shops that are like downtown Milwaukee. It's like 30-minute drive. Sometimes my wife will go get it. And I'm like, no, tell the lady. So I say, get double meat. And then like, because it's so much bread. And I'm like, I want double meat. Then she'd come back. And I was like, this is not double meat. So then I'm like, no, tell this lady triple meat. Like I want whatever this lady, I mean, the bread is this thick.
Yeah.
And there's like a thin layer of ham in there. And I'm like, and I don't do all the veggies and stuff. So I'm like, and then of course, then the lady got pissed. And the next time she came back to me was exploding with ham.
Yeah. It's like here you fucking go.
Yeah. I was like, okay, all right. I'm sorry, but, so I've been following your new podcast, the Binge Eater Podcast. Seems like everybody's got to have a podcast these days, How have you?
Well, if you're like, 30-something-year-old white man, you definitely got to have a microphone.
Got to. Yeah. That's it. We get a letter on our 30th birthday. So how have you found that process, and that different venture? Because that's a little different venture because, it's not choreographed or scripted. It's just kind of chill. It's a different vibe, How have people, it seems like it's growing steady and, and I guess how have you enjoyed that so far?
That's like a perfect example of something I love doing, enjoy doing. I do it with my cousin, who's my business partner, and one of my best friends, who's basically a normie with a normie life. And we just go and we just do it anyways, and it's fun. It's kind of like the same thing. Sorry, when I go live streaming on Twitch, some things I'm like, I was gonna do this anyways. I want to do it, and I know, like, sometimes I'll be streaming on Twitch and some people can come in and I have 100 viewers.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, oh, damn, what happened to the Epic Mealtime guy? He's fucking washed up now. And they're like, damn, dude, you must be fucking choked, bro. Only 100 viewers? And I'm like, yeah, dude, it's Wednesday, 2 a.m. I'm playing the video game I want and I have, like, no work tomorrow. Yeah. I'm choked about this.
And maybe probably no work ever again. So I'll be all right.
That's the thing is, like, I've met the YouTubers that have the void that they want to fill, that viewership void. Yeah. God bless him. Fuzi's a perfect example. If you want to think of the perfect type of YouTuber that will never be content because they're always trying to fill the void of viewership. And going back to what you asked earlier, also, I kind of didn't have that. I'm kind of comfortable with that. I'm kind of a guy that could get punched out of the ring. Like, I could fight all of Twitter, get punched out of the ring, and then get back on Twitter and be like, yeah, literally, this is all nonsense. All of it has been nonsense. And these things, I think if you have the right mentality, it's cool. So, like, I put up a vlog, and maybe it has like a couple thousand views on a channel that used to get millions. And I'm like, yeah, but I like it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, I did vlogs for a couple years. And secretly, but my favorite thing about the vlogs was that I didn't realize was having this timestamp in my life, this moment where I go back and there's a thing there. And now with the podcast, I have these conversations with people that I was interested in, and I'm talking about things that I cared about. And these are little time capsules now to my life. Yeah. And it's a positive spin on something where it's like, you're saying that because you don't get any views. But it actually is. It's like I like to make the things that I like to make, and I've kind of afforded myself that space. And I think when you're an up-and-coming YouTuber, you don't really get to make the things that you want to make. You got to do, like, you got to be like, oh, wow, ice cream's so good. You have to do that. Yeah, you got to play the game. And
there's no room. There's no room. Like, the lanes are established. It's funny that you mentioned the vlog thing. I used to do one. I remember it's called Wanderlust, and a guy who I became friends with in the Magic the Gathering YouTube community texted me yesterday. And he's like, man, I just rewatched all your old, like, Wanderlust vlogs. They're like 10 years old. I had a lot of fun doing them. And I think you just reminded me that, like, maybe I should at least do maybe one a week, because it is fun to, like, I don't know. I think it's fun. I actually like editing them.
You know what I do? And it's like, I mean, definitely not as hype for the audience, but I have my phone with me. When I'm doing something cool, I like kind of film it with the phone, and I don't think too much about it, and I don't want to take away from the live experience.
Yeah.
I film with the phone, and then I edit it on CapCut and TikTok while I'm shitting, because those editors are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sitting there
my mind
and I'm like,
edit on phones.
I know.
I can't. That you ever see Urban Rescue Ranch? He's like this guy down in Waco, Texas, who's got like a animal sanctuary. His videos have like not a lot of effects, but I would say an average 10-minute video's got like, I don't know, 100 clips. And he's like, yeah, I edit on my phone. I'm like, what? Like, what?
The craziest thing is I never thought that artists, let's just call us artists for a second. I never thought artists would be under attack by robots. Like, when 10 years ago when I looked at jobs, it's like, oh, this is your job. You're an assembly line. Your job is 99% under threat of being automated. And now it's like, oh, you're a white dude with a podcast. Your job is 99% under threat of being automated. With the voice filters they have and the type of shit, I'm telling you right now, Jeremy, a computer could have had this podcast of you and I talking.
I believe it's so crazy. We are like 100% on the same page. I even upped the amount of money I put in my like IRAs now, because I'm like, I've said that too. Like, there are popular, look at VTubers. There are popular VTubers who have, millions of subscribers and are probably some overweight Asian guy playing but I mean, the audience doesn't care as much. And there's so much like audio of like guys like us existing on the internet. You could probably feed that into AI and get like right now 85% of the way there. How's that gonna be
They would come out and they can make the voice sound like whatever they want also.
Yeah.
And it can literally come out and they'll pull all the podcasts that have ever happened. It'll come out and it'll be like, I hate sluts. I want a traditional wife. And you're like, I agree. Women should. And they'll just pull from every podcast that already exists. And I'm sure it would automate it.
People do that to Joe Rogan now. And it's very convincing. Like I saw a clip
so
and I was
scary.
like, what the I'm like, what is he saying? This is definitely not Joe. But it was video too, not just like a straight audio clip. And I was like, what the? So I tell that to fellow YouTubers too. I mean, like, we'll probably quote unquote survive it, but the next generation of entertainers will be AI almost exclusively. It'll be too easy. I had Amaranth on. My viewers love that. But she's, like probably the world's most famous OnlyFans star. And I asked her about that too. I was like, dude, I mean, AI women, they're already AI e-girl Twitter accounts with tens of thousands of followers. Like, I mean, she's going to be fine, but even she acknowledged too, like, yeah, I mean, how could you compete? They could create 50 different versions that are working 24 hours a day. And guys don't necessarily care. Like they still consume it because
hell no, we don't. Am I right, boys in the chat? We're like, give us like some mayonnaise in a Ziploc bag filled with gummy bears. We're good to go.
Yeah, we're good on that. Yeah, speaking of that, by the way, I'm joined by Harley Morenstein. All his links in below. Still posts content to his Epic Mealtime channel. Also runs a new podcast called the BingeEaterPodcast. His Spotify is linked down below. Make sure you go follow him and share some love. And Harley, I appreciate you spending time with me. I just have a few more questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course, no problem. No, I'm glad I'm glad I made it. Fuck.
Well, I started to worry about you. I was like, should I call him? I was talking to my wife. I was like, why?
I'm glad you
last
called.
night. He said he was going to be here.
I know. I was just thinking 4 p.m. for some reason. Just a disaster of a person. And I literally never do that. I'm also not a flaky YouTuber, which you're dealing with creators. You must know. Some
it happens.
Some YouTubers I'll go back and forth. I'm like, oh yeah, and then I'll start planning something. And my buddies will be like, so what about the YouTuber that's coming? I'm like, he said he's coming, and they're like, oh, so he's coming. I'm like, that doesn't mean he's coming.
That doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything. Yeah, we just. Yeah.
That's when you have I have a lot of friends like that too. And it's like, all right, well, here's what's going to happen. And, it would like piss my wife off too. Cause she's a planner and she's like, but we made a reservation for 4. And, and I was like, I know, but this is who these people are. I want to shift gears a little bit. I'm sure it's almost annoying at this point when people ask you about your time training with Sam Hyde, but I thought, we actually have that in common.
Yeah, that's our mutual.
So I thought it might be fun to reflect and compare notes a little bit. How do you remember that experience?
Right off the bat, I had known about Sam Hyde for years, and I didn't speak his name out loud because he never came up in conversation. No creators spoke about him. No one spoke about him, and I would watch him here and there, and some of his skits were funny, and
World Peace was really funny.
Yeah,
like
and
the bullying bit.
Yeah, and I've always said this, and I've gotten killed on podcasts before. Like if it's funny, you can get away with a lot. As long as it's funny, you can get away with a lot. And I thought a lot of his content, he got away with a lot of it because I found it to be very funny. And even when, he had, there was, like a beef between he and iDubbbz creator clash and him and stuff like that. Throughout all of that, I was like, it sucks for whoever goes against him,
I felt
because
bad for you being in the middle of that.
Yeah, no, that was fine. That was fine because I spoke to him and he was like, "Yeah, he's like, you don't need to get involved in all that stuff. Focus on your thing." And I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
but I always I always say what I want to say."
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I like it was a situation I put myself in, and that was all cool. But when there was like a beef between whoever he beefs with him or whoever has a thing with him, I'm like, that sucks because he's a very funny guy.
Yeah.
I fancy myself to be a funny guy, especially on the spot. And there are things that he says sometimes where I'm like, wow, your brain went there and that's what you said.
That's
super,
fucking,
that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And
it's hard to talk to him sometimes because like he's like on another plane of existence. And one thing I thought, and I don't know if you ran into this, to be honest, I never really knew or cared about any of his past quote unquote controversies because I was always like, people say crazy stuff about me politically. So I was like, oh yeah, people say that about him. I don't know if it's true or not. And you know what? People lie all the time. Crazy stuff happens all the time. So I'm just going to go into this in good faith. And, one thing that surprised me is just how kind he was. Like he like daddied up on me there. Like he was like very kind, but the one thing I remember most was it was the first time looking someone in the eye who was trying to kill you. Like when he was just teaching me how to like protect myself.
Yeah.
You know how Sam, you said it in your documentary too. Like if you get one past him, you hurt him a little bit, then he kicks, like he's taking it easy and then he kicks it up a notch and you're like, this guy's a maniac. Like there were times we were sparring and I obviously could tell he was taking it easy. It didn't feel like he was. After just a few days, I don't know if this happened to you, but all of this was bruised.
Yeah. And that helps. That's the type of thing that helped. Was like getting bruises, getting sore, and getting soft.
Yeah.
Because I have to point out one thing, by the way. I trained with Sam for boxing and I trained this guy Jesse for boxing, but I lost like 70 pounds throughout the whole process working out with this guy Louis Marco, and he's in your chat right now.
Oh, is
like
he?
Official
Shout
Louis
out.
Marco? That guy actually, I did his
Louis.
training program. I ate his food.
Is that the guy you tried to connect me with? That
yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
That's the guy. Yeah, and I actually like lost 70 pounds doing that with him. Obviously, I was doing the boxing too. But that's so
you thinned out a lot
there.
even since your first fight.
After the first fight, that's when I hit up Louis.
Okay.
So that year was with Louis, and that's because I felt like I lost a lot on my own, and I was like, oh, we can go even further. And I had all the food written out and stuff. And that's so funny that he's there. That's the first fitness YouTuber that I ever watched. Because there was a time when I watched a lot of fitness YouTubers, and he had just great videos. A lot of the fitness YouTubers that I know about today, he was like the first guy that pointed them out or put them on. So
all right, so check him out, Chad.
Guys, check out Louis Marco. Check him out on Instagram. I think Louis Marco 2 now. I think because he got banned. But guys, listen, I was literally 70 pounds heavier. If any of you fat boys sitting at home, which I know there's some of you.
Yeah. At least one.
Yeah, definitely at least one. So there's a fat guy right now and he's like, oh my God, it's me. I'm the one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a fat guy. I've been working at it. It's hard. Like when I had that, I'll say this, when I had the fight before the guy backed out, I was working out twice a day, every day. And now I work out like once a day. I'm at least on the treadmill. But like the weight was just coming off. Like I couldn't, it was at the point where I was eating healthy, but I could have eaten almost whatever I wanted because it was like,
I
didn't want to get
when
embarrassed.
You're big like that.
Yeah.
Big like that. It happens, but it happens fast. Like it's kind of encouraging. Like you're a big dude. And then you're like, oh, I'll eat. I could cut. There's things I was able to cut out so fast. 'Cause I'm like, this is unnecessary. Yeah. And then change happens pretty fast. For men,
when you're like 100 pounds overweight and a man, you lose that first 30. Like you could lose it in 2 months. Like most people say a pound a week, but the first, and it gets you jacked because you see the scale go down. I wanted to dovetail off that. I was gonna say like when you were there, if you want to change it, if you want to move to
No,
the next
no,
subject, Dan, but I was going to say, I thought, I wondered if you had that same kind of experience where like the guy was always on, like he
Sam.
wasn't like, he wasn't goofing. Like,
no, he also has an incredible energy tank.
Dude,
I have a big
in the morning.
But yeah, like I have a hydrogen tank. We were doing boxing for like, we'll do it for like 4 hours, 4.5 hours, 5 hours. And then I'll go eat. And then he'll call me when I was at the hotel and he's like, you should do some squats now. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll do some squats. Shut the fuck
yeah.
up. And then I get a video from him and it's him squatting and he's like on the phone. I'm like, well, fuck, let's go. And then I get up, I get out of bed, I go to the gym in the hotel and I'm doing squats and I'm sending it to him.
Yeah,
and
that's what he did to me too.
He does. He has a very, very strong energy tank, and I knew he was a good guy. Like, I mean, so like
there's
I know
some things that maybe are questionable. I don't know, but
well, he's not like the only thing that I said to him. I'm like, I mean, it's not a crazy thing to say, but the only thing I was like, you threatened to kill people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it's cool.
I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, do your thing. You do your thing. But I also like, and it's totally fine. It's not, he doesn't need me. He doesn't need me. But I was like, I spent a little social capital being like, he's a goofball. He's just joking. And then he's like, I will kill them in real life. And I'm like,
yeah. Like even the guy tried to save him in the ring. You mean no?
Yeah, that whole thing. But he's he's a good guy because I remember I went in there and I have a means of joking around with people, and he has a couple guys that are there, and one of the guys, more reserved dude that's not on camera or anything. But I went up to him, and it was the second day I met that guy, and I was like, "Yo, what's up, bud?" I was like, "What's that drink?" I was like,
"Is it the blonde hair guy?"
No, he was a computer programming dude.
Oh, okay.
He's like in the front corner, and he was like computer programming stuff. And I was like, "What's up, dude? Give me a sip of your drink or something like that." And he was like, and he was like, and I was like, "Yeah, can I get a sip?" And he was like, "Sure." And I wasn't gonna take a sip, but Sam was there, and Sam was like, "Oh, you don't need to give him a sip if you don't actually want to." And
he defended him.
He defended him, and I was just joking, and the guy knew I was joking, but Sam was a bit further away that he didn't know if he was picking up on it. He couldn't see his face, and I wasn't like bullying this guy, but I was like, "Oh, that's nice." And then the guys asking them, because I filmed I have 100 hours of footage filmed with Sam that just wasn't relevant to the documentary, but would be relevant if you were a Sam fan to an extent. And I would talk to the guys and ask them, and they were just telling me the things that he did for them. And I know the scale and what he gives to them and what he's provided to them for the work that they've done. Yeah. And it's super, he's a very generous guy. He's a very generous guy, and he's a nice guy. And shockingly, I was surprised how sympathetic he could be. It's
he texted me when my dad passed away. I was like, what? Or he called me.
Oh, he called you.
He actually called me.
I texted.
You did text. Yeah. But that's fine. A text was fine because you don't want to talk. I mean, he waited. It was a week later or something, or 2 weeks. I saw I missed a call from him. And I was like, whoa, I haven't talked to him. We're working on some other stuff, but I was like, oh, what did Sam want? And he was just like, dude, I just want to check in on you. I was like, man, if people saw that side of him, he had a bunch of swastikas hanging around when we were training and stuff. But I mean, it was I'm sure he doesn't want us exposing that he's a big softie, but he really, he would call me at the hotel too. Because I was even when you were starting, I was in way worse shape than you were starting. So I didn't have much in me. I could spar for 20 minutes, and that was it. I was gone.
That's a lot. No. That's a lot. When I started, I came out of pandemic. That was the worst shape I've ever been in my life after pandemic, and I smoke a lot of hash.
Yeah,
my lungs are I may have. I played football when I was younger, but there's no remnants of that left.
No, not at
I'm
40.
just like a
Not
fat,
35.
fat
Yeah.
YouTuber sitting down smoking a billion hash joints.
Yeah.
It hurt. And like I used to like feel like I couldn't breathe. It felt like I was drowning. I was freaking out. But yeah, you know how it is.
Yeah, there were times I thought I was hyperventilating, but like I was always like, Sam, I gotta stop. And he would be like, cool, cool, just sit down. And I would sit down, and the second he could see that I like recompose, be like, all right, let's go. Start the clock again. Like, and he'd like, I'd be like, all right, dude, I'm done. And then like he would text me at the hotel and be like, get on the treadmill for an hour, like an hour. And for me, he said an hour at like, at the level where you're just comfortable breathing or whatever. I was like, I haven't been on the treadmill in an hour ever. This motherfucker just had me out like punching me in the head for the last 2 hours and then doing those step drills, which just obliterated my legs. The little the gallops.
Oh, the fucking gallop, because we're so heavy.
Yeah.
My knees and ankles are like
yeah, they're like, stop. They're like, he came to my hotel and made me do them in the parking lot. So I have all these like all these hotel people watching this fat ass in the parking lot, like gallop, doing the gallop, forward, backward. I'm just like, but like to put it to bring that back to a backhanded compliment. This dude was so like, he was filming Fish Tank at the time. He was working on World Peace 2, filming World Peace 2. And he still took 2 hours out of every one of his day to like, he would be in the Jason Goldstriker suit punching me outside behind the house. go back in to do a bit. And then his buddy, Scott, I don't know if you ever met him. His buddy, Scott. Like, the
Berserker.
Yeah. He was
Scott
really
Sullivan,
kind too.
MMA.
Yeah. He would take over. He would be a little easier on me because he'd be like, man, like Sam's. Because like when Sam's
and he still learned from Berserker though, from Scott.
Oh, I learned a lot.
We still learned from him. I did like I got a couple sessions on 1 or 2, and it was just like he is a lot more. He's holding back way more.
Yeah,
he really doesn't want. He really wants you to understand the technique and stuff. Whereas like Sam, it's like put your hands up, you're getting punched.
Yeah, that was the first time you mentioned that in your doc about how. You learned a lot of the technique from your coach, but you learned a little bit of that killer instinct from Sam. And that's kind of what I wasn't much of a scrapper when I was young. I was always big, so people didn't pick on me. Like I was 6 feet tall in middle school. So like I never had to deal with any of that shit. When you see Sam and he's got that look in his eye and he's coming at you and he's every bit of 6'3", 6'4", and he's fucking ripped.
He's a big boy.
He's big. And it was like, you grow up. You like your balls drop another level. Yeah. You're like, oh shit. And then he's like,
and wasn't that fun for you also being like a big guy and people thinking that I'm more savage than I am or whatnot. But wasn't that kind of empowering to just know how to throw a punch now?
Isn't that something like makes me feel awesome? Like,
don't you you get in line at Culver's and there's someone in front of you and you're like, I could knock this bitch out.
I could take this fucker. Yeah.
You're like, I really am 6'5" actually, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I am a big, strong man. Maybe I'll knock out everyone at Culver's.
Yeah. Oh, you ordered the last cod fish fillet? Come over here. I got something to talk to you about. That's what Scott helped me with. Cause I don't know, he would be like, I think you go through your punches and I assume he's looking for like, hey, what do you have? Do you have a good jab? Do you have a good cross? Do you have a good, well, for me, I had apparently a really good uppercut. I remember like we were working on that and then like he got jacked, which made me jacked. He's like, yo, he's like, you got, that's your punch, man. That's your punch. And like he's like, Sam, check this out. He's like, and then I was like, yeah. I was getting super pumped. And then just the basics, like you said, now it's like, I don't want to go, but I feel like now way more confident that like I could protect myself.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had to, like, I'm never going to go looking for it, but I'm pretty sure I could protect myself, with just
10 times better. Yeah. It's like going from like like 80% of the population can kick your ass to like 20% of the population can kick your ass.
Yeah,
and there's
right.
a little bit of tuning that needed to happen. And I had that. I was like I have friends that, you know, are around my size. I have a lot of big friends, like not exactly my height, but you know, they would say some shit. And nowadays, like in the last year, I'm like, not anymore, pal. You want to do it now?
Yeah.
I could go a couple rounds now.
Yeah, well, let's go spar it up. Let's go see. Yeah,
my dad says some shit sometimes. I'm like, "Will you say, Dad?
Yeah,
Dad, what'd you say?"
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you speaking to the microphone. Speaking of influencer boxing, I know you seem to, you know, you keep your training regimen. You're still taking care of yourself. Is that something that you've had enough of, or do you want to get out there at freaking featherweight and fight again now at this leaner, meaner size?
I did. There was a boxing thing coming up,
yeah,
and I did speak to them, and they did have a fight for me, and then I hadn't. My coach, not Sam, my other coach, he was not around. He's like a real coach. He's like in the corner. You'll see him in the corner on ESPN and stuff. He had some fights coming up, so his schedule had him out of town. And then I went to Burning Man and took like a 9,000 hits of acid. By the way, it was an interactive art experience, and I'm playing a character, so everything I say is not true. So I'm on 9,000 tabs of acid, and I came back and
videos.
I was like, my brain is soup.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm going to do this event, and this event was this year. But I still want to do it again. I loved it. I had so much fun. I definitely have a couple of restrictions. I wouldn't do a pro fight.
Yeah.
I watch the pro fights. They watch what they do. I watch the little gloves. I see, like, you know,
those little gloves hurt, man.
Yeah, you look at iDubbbz's fights.
His
the
face
fights
got
that he
demolished.
Had. If you look at his fights compared to the other fights of the night, it's drastically different. You know what I mean? Yep. If you see some of the knockouts that happen on Misfits, those occur because of the little gloves. And these people who haven't even sparred like 30 times get in the ring with these little gloves and
get brain damage.
Yeah, that's not where I'm at. But for the sport of it and the show of it, I love it, and I would get in there again. And I mean, I had a great time fucking getting beat up by John Morrison. I had a great time beating up a Game Grump. So I still think I'd like to.
I think the Game Grump fight, he was a little, he was a little, you were a little, both of you were in like not great shape.
Yeah.
But you were a little better.
And panicked. We were like fighting, like panicking, like the whole, like everyone has a plan until they get. That's literally it.
Literally the line.
The whole first round, I watch it back and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, I actually, like, oh yeah, boom, boom, boom. You just unload out. You're like, oh yeah, I could just pummel him.
And then I watched the other fight with Johnny Nitro, and I'm watching, and I made so many mistakes. I watch it back, and it's so funny. I'm not good enough for in the ring to be on top of my game. But I'm good enough now at boxing to watch back my fight and be like, why am I walking to that side all the time? Why did I throw that punch first? And I know all these mistakes that, and you know what would have really helped me in my fight with Johnny Nitro is a good uppercut. I didn't have a good uppercut, but it would have helped I look back and I'm like, oh, here's the uppercut. And if I had that built in like you do, or you will, like that would have been really fucking useful.
Talking to you makes me want to get another fight. But for me, I only because for me, there's no motivator, and maybe you can speak to this. Maybe you had different motivations, but obviously somebody, you know, at my heaviest, I was almost 400 pounds when I took that fight. I think I was like I weighed myself on vacation. You know, you have that moment.
Yep.
Weighed myself on vacation.
Worst time to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And it read like 390, and I ruined the rest of my vacation. I was like, holy shit, I'm going to die. Like, I'm going to
390, and your heart is like the same size as like everyone else's heart.
Yeah. Yeah. and like, so then this fight thing comes up, and I was like, okay, there's no greater motivator than not wanting to fucking die of a heart attack in the ring.
Oh,
Like,
that was your okay.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, like, or,
Well, you know,
or
mine
look
was
ridiculous.
Mine was like, I can't believe I'm going to take my shirt off in front of all these people.
That's what I mean. Like, I was like, I mean, look, I don't mean any. Well, I guess it's going to be disrespectful, but I nothing these guys. Okay, I nothing these guys. I got no feelings for or against them really. But like watching Boogie and Wings was like, damn, Boogs, like you did literally nothing, and like I did not want that. Like, and you know what? Wings was also like, I mean, people were gassing him up too, but he was extremely out of shape, just 10 years younger. And I saw that fight and I was like, there's no fucking way.
I flew to England for that fight.
I know.
I flew all the way to England to go.
We're
like,
biggest letdown too. Just Boogie. I was actually mad at him because look, you know Boogie too.
Yeah.
I've known him for a long time. We occasionally will talk. Blah blah blah. I don't have any ill will towards him, and he's still been a guy that I've never really abandoned, even though he's given a lot of reasons to people. I still want him to get healthy, and like when he said he was doing it, and then I was like, and then Keem flew out there, and I saw him. I was like, he's not doing it because I had already started training. I'm like, he's not doing anything. Yeah. Anything. He doesn't know how to move his feet. He doesn't, and that's like Sam taught me that 11 p.m. in the parking lot in some like. In that little village, you know where I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like I got off the plane and got punched in the head the same day.
Yeah.
And like I saw these guys. I've been training for months. I was like, no.
See, that's the funny thing is like I know what it's like starting from zero. Also, so when you start from zero, you know what the first few steps will look like, no matter what. Even if yours are a little different, you know what the first few steps are. And I remember going to Creator Clash 1. And Creator Clash 2 and seeing some of the people's interactions with the bag, like punching when we got to this thing. And I was like, oh my God, 60% of these people did not get a trainer, or they did not train enough, or they didn't spar someone of equal
everything.
Like that. And it is like my mistake with my last fight is I didn't spar enough. I should have sparred more. But I did like I like pussied with my coaches. I was like, well, I don't know. That's just I don't know.
Well, you worry about the headshots too.
Exactly. How many times can I get punched in the head? We have a limited amount.
Yeah.
And so you know what those first steps looks like. And I remember Creator Clash 1, I was like, oh shit, like 60% of these people did not do it. And then I got to Creator Clash 2 and I was like, oh, like 15%. Way more people knew to train now, at least. Like they knew better than the first time around. But there's still people that go there. And I'm like, oh my God. Well, you're going to get punched out here, dude. Like, do you want to take this seriously?
Yeah. That was, I think, the weirdest thing. Like, you look at Dad's fights. Like, no disrespect to the guys that fought Dad, but I was just like, dude, like, none of those guys could cover up. I felt bad for them because it was like, I actually felt bad for Dad because he didn't get a good fight. But then like I'm looking at these guys and I was like, I remember the first thing Sam's like, put a X on the floor in tape, and then you step back half step, left, right, half step, right. Every day he's like, I want you to do 2,000. He always had these retarded numbers. Like, I want you to do 10,000 squats or something. I was like, dude, I can do like 40. Like, I'll do as many as I can. But like, that's what he'd be like. You got to do it 2,000 steps.
He loves Okay, last one.
Yeah, right.
Last one.
Last one. Yeah.
Go, last one. He would also say something. He'd be like, yeah, like he'd say a joke. I don't know exactly what, but he'd be like, yeah, something like that. Shmoing. And I'd be like, ha ha. Or it's like, and he's like, stop, do one. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he did that.
I thought we were joking for a second here. And he's like, no, I made the joke. You go run now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was for me. That's it. Yeah, we're doing that thing, the thing, the Olympic bar or whatever, or whatever you call it,
Yeah. Landmines, like
landmines. Yeah, and he's just
it's like in the ground and you're pushing it up, kind of.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this isn't that bad, but he's like, bro, because if you put your arm like this and you do it, it's way harder.
Yeah.
If you bring your elbow in, if your elbow's out, it's a lot easier because you get some leverage. And like, he would be like, you're gonna be here all fucking night until you put that elbow down. And I was like, ha, 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 ha. He's like, put your elbow down. I was like, oh, fuck.
See, and I was a fan of his content, so sometimes, and I have the videos of this, like he'll be telling me something, and he'll be in my face, and everything he's saying is truthful, and it makes the most sense, and it's 100% accurate, and it's helpful information, but it's him saying it to me, and he's wearing his glasses, and his hair looks the way it does, and he's wearing a computer camp t-shirt,
sweating everywhere,
and like he's talking, and I'm like smiling. He's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Just you talking now." He's like, I understand. It's funny. Anyways, keep listening. And he'll like keep talking, and I'm like laughing at the same time. But it's
it's not funny when he punches you. But I think one thing I wanted to say to bring it to kind of finish one point to finish on is that I thought you've always seemed like a pretty loyal guy to me in our many interactions. But I mean, just from the sidelines, at least, the way you stepped in with Creator Clash, I know that I don't really care about the hey, IDubbbz making the content he wants to make now. Let him make his content. I still think he tried to do a good thing with that. I don't really, Sam, it was weird when it was like Sam and him I was like, but anyway, I remember the moment, you're trying to you went into that Twitter space and then you tried to play the middle, and I really respect that. I think it was admirable, even though of course it doesn't work. But given everything you've learned about social media, why do you think, because that's one thing that we talked about, I think behind the scenes, one of the earliest things we talked about is it was we disagree on this, but I don't hate you.
Yeah.
I wish more people did that.
Yeah.
Because it makes social media suck ass. Do you think there's any, is there any white pill where more people can do that kind of stuff? Because I know that probably to a less degree than Sam, but you definitely took a risk training with Sam, and you don't have to agree with everything he says, but you're like, hey, this is, whatever. You may even have people be like, oh, why'd you go on Jeremy's show? He pissed in his basement one time and he was drunk. And that's an own. I'm like, dude, we live in the Midwest. We have drains in the floor. Guys pee in the drain on the floor. I think everyone who uses that.
I thought about that people would say such a thing, like me coming on the show.
Yeah.
I know I have like you've had beefs with people that I'm cool with or that I enjoy, and like Sam, it's the same thing. And it's I just remember the before times. I didn't have all this information about someone.
Yeah.
I didn't have all the information. I didn't know that that's what they felt about this particular issue, or that's how they felt about that. And I just got people in my interaction. Now, I think if, you had 12 women who made allegations against you, I don't think I'd come on the podcast and be like, it was nice to me.
Yeah.
But there's
fortunately, I'm good.
But when people are like, that's this person, this is what they think about that, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I try to, what do you want?
Fine. I can disagree. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You've really inspired me to try to be more like that, because I think that for me, I don't, maybe it's probably an age thing, but this shit just isn't that serious.
Yeah. And I got that as I age. I also.
Once, I just don't care. It's not that big a deal. Okay, we can disagree on this. I kind of gone away now, even from, making videos on people. It's just I don't even, it's it's not that important. And I know they're going to get shit on, and, and there's value in these feuds, H3 versus, the boys, what is their name? They're Canadian too, right? ABBA and Preach. That kind of content now, I just don't care about it anymore. I hope that more people online that's what I was hoping people in that thread would take to our lead, where we were having a disagreement, but hey, and then it sucks because factions come in, they want to pick a side and they escalate it immediately.
Yeah. Or
So
if
it's-
you say one thing, you say something about something, like, for example, I happen to love firearms, and
yeah,
like, I'll post up something about like I'll post like a firearm thing, something about like, like a gun,
yeah.
and then people will be like, all of a sudden, like, I have beef with homosexuals, and
Because you
and
like
I'm
guns.
against,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
I'm for or against abortion, and I'm like, and all these other things, because I said one thing, this checklist gets
You're
assumed
in that
about
box
you.
now.
Yeah, exactly. You're in the box with all of these things, and people are a bit more complex. And
That's
sometimes, sometimes something people were like, "Oh, leave the kids alone," is like a crazy statement, because we know where that gets attached. But then it's like, hold on, does that person, when they say that, do they know the whole history lesson that you
right.
just said, or were they saying something that, like, when someone's like, all lives matter? They don't know, like,
They're not
yeah, they
trying to be
do. They
racist,
don't know the whole connection here. Not everyone. It's the thing is, being ignorant is not it's not desirable, but it's not inherently bad. It's something that you couldn't prevent.
Yeah,
You
I
didn't
I
know,
think
you were ignorant. It's something that has to, like, so if I've been ignorant about a million things, and if someone's like, you're ignorant, now, I used to be offended by that. Nowadays I'm like, oh, am I? Please enlighten me. And I don't mean that sarcastically. I'm like,
no,
oh, am I? Is
yeah.
there a history here that I'm not knowing? And let's talk about that. And then sometimes you'll get people that are like, it's not my job to educate you. And it's like, okay, well, you're going to be that guy, but you can't just
You can't
see
be
it
mad
all the
then.
way through. Yeah, you can't see it all the way
You
through.
don't get. That's one of my biggest, like, the biggest takeaway of things that I hate, like, on the internet. For example, it may surprise you to hear that I'm pro-choice. Now, but people think automatically, because maybe I have a problem with maybe gender ideology, that I'm not. It's like, I'm very, like, don't put me in a box. And they just make assumptions like, I'm pro gay marriage. I don't have any, like, but people think, oh, because I made fun of this one thing, or I had something to say about this one thing, then you must also. It just makes it easier for people to villainize. And people have done it since the beginning of time, and I hope that less people do it, but I don't know.
But see, I'm like, that's the tricky thing, is like, you work in this business, so to whatever it is that you will say or your actions, you get paid for that. So people will be like, he's not even being real. He's doing what he's doing because that's how he gets his dime. And so there's like an extra layer in that sense. And so sometimes when I'm talking with my normie friends and I see, like, they're telling me about this type of stuff in their workspace, in their building, and their encounter with HR over a particular thing, and I'm like, wow, it's basically the same, maybe important issue or bullshit. It's the same thing, but it's all in a building, like, in closed doors. Whereas in your scenario, it's on Twitter and it's like a public thing and everyone can kind of talk about it, but you're also like, you get paid for it. And so there's all these layers to it that it's so, it's just, it's not, it's we act these days like everything's black and white or left and right. And it's really, it's so cliche to say, but it's way more complex than that.
Yeah.
It's way more complex. And I think we got to remember how complex we are, be patient with each other. And I mean, it doesn't help me that I go on some podcasts, like I'll go on this podcast and some people will be like, oh, he said some lib cuck shit before. And then I'll go on another podcast and they'll be like, oh yeah, he hangs out with Nazis.
He's
so
a
it's
right
like,
way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and I'm just like, I'm like, dude, everyone's on YouTube. Let's just relax.
Well, that's where, I mean, and that's where I'm at now too. Like, I just stopped defending myself from it. It's just like, I mean, sometimes even my own viewers, they're like, how can you be pro-choice? I'm like, well, I don't prefer people do it, but I don't think the government should say it. Like, it's a very simple,
and also, what's
slightly
so funny
nuanced position.
Is like when people are like, how could you be pro-choice? And like, that's even a thing where it's not black and white. It's like, well, let's talk about timing now.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
There is a point where I'm not pro-choice. There is a length of time where I'm not pro-choice. So we could talk about that, and we probably agree more than we do or don't. Like when people talk about gender stuff.
Yeah.
But no one liked that teacher in Toronto with the big fake tits that they wore to
I know,
work.
right?
No one liked that.
Yeah.
We did not
Normies
back
didn't
that person. No one liked that. I didn't like it. I have plenty of trans friends. I don't know what the fuck that person was doing. And I look at, as someone that used to be a high school teacher, I look at how the school board handled that, and I was like, you fucking morons.
I know.
They were like, well, what do we do? We have to accept everybody. And it's like, you fucking idiot. He's
just
clearly trolling. He's wearing fucking 9-pound tits. What are you thinking? This is an easy one. We finally have a baseline. Everyone can agree. Fuck this guy. But the school board's like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? And and that's another thing. It's like also like school. Like I also, I want children to feel comfortable. I want it all to be, I want them to feel safe and all that. But then when it gets to the thing where they're saying like, if a student tells a teacher that he identifies as something else, that teacher is not mandated to inform the parents. That's fucking crazy to me.
Yeah,
that's like I want that kid to live his life or their life, do it. It's not a big deal. That's fine. We
agree on that.
Whatever. Yeah. However, this is my child, and they're 9 years old, and I loaned him to you. It's not yours.
Yeah.
I lent him to you. You tell me everything. You tell me everything my kid says. Yeah, everything. Right. Yeah. And that's just like one of those things where I'm like, oh, because then it's like, me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, even the things like we don't agree on, sometimes I'll look at that. I'm like, oh, they're making it real hard for me to defend this now because that's fucking weird,
Yeah. Well, let me, and you've been real generous with your time. And I wanted to finish with just one question. In your opinion, do you think Jewish people tell the best anti-Semitic jokes?
I always believed that if it's funny first, you get a pass from me.
Yeah.
No, honestly, no matter what. You could say the meanest, most racist thing. I thought Dave Chappelle at his most racist was the funniest.
Dude, his bit on white people was like the most hilarious. The wife swap thing was one of his most legendary skits.
I loved his SNL bit after the Kanye stuff. Yeah. Where he spoke about the whole Jewish thing. Like, I love that. And I am Jewish. I'm a proud Jew. I celebrate the holidays. I do all that. But like, I fucking love good Jew jokes. I love good Jew jokes. I love all just if it's funny, like it's
the spirit of it, right?
And
like
you've never seen someone hate on Jews like other Jews.
I have the only Jewish person, I have one Jewish friend, and he's constantly I'm not gonna say any of them. I've never heard a non-Jew say a Jew joke other than like the typical, like, I don't know, maybe back in the day, some money joke.
It's like a money thing, a tip thing, a penny, a big nose.
Yeah, there's something like that. But this guy, he tells me like, hey, he tries to make me uncomfortable with like these heinous jokes. And I was like, dude, he's like, yeah, I said, I can't repeat these jokes.
I type it out in the chat there in the StreamYard thing.
Well, one of the jokes involved transporting Jewish people in a car.
I know how. 2 in the front, 3 in the back, 6 million in the ashtray.
I was like, Jesus, dude! Like,
I think if you really wanted to, swerve on that, you'd be like, how many can you fit in the car? You'd be like 2 in the front, 3 in the back, 250,000 in the ashtray. Because then you're also lessening the numbers.
Then you're getting both sides. Yeah, it's a joke for everyone, really. Yeah,
because the whole 2 in the front, 3 in the back, 6 million in the ashtray. I like that joke because it's remembering and acknowledging the numbers of the Holocaust. So that's actually it's a good one. It's like, you're acknowledging.
Yeah. Okay, I see where you're going there.
Yeah. There was always the lame ones like. The copper wire, 2 Jews pick up a penny at the same time, and that's copper wire.
I heard that one.
These are like, this is like elementary.
Those are middle school, elementary jokes. But those are always I don't know. I never, like, you grow up and, I just never heard, I never heard it, I never heard any from Sam. Didn't tell me any good ones. The,
No, he didn't
you
say
guys were
anything.
doing the 6,200,000.
Oh, and you know what? He didn't even want to. I forced him.
I bet he was like,
I like pushed it because I leaned into the Nazi thing. Even with my mom, I was like, Mom,
yeah, that was a great bit.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Well, like what?" I'm like, "It's fine. He's fine." And then I was like pulling up, and I was like, "I actually don't know."
Yeah. Well, you don't. That's until the moment. I still don't really know if I know the real Sam. But like, yeah, you don't. But I remember that joke. I was like, I had a feeling you were behind. I'm like, there's no way.
No, yeah. I was like, I kept pushing it, but one thing that I thought was funny is like I got that. I like to ask a million questions, and I was like, do you ever like have like sexy slutty girls in your DMs DMing you to fuck just because you're Sam Hyde?
Yeah.
And like I asked that, and I remember some of his guys being like, because no one ever asked him, and they want to know also. And he's like, no. But then what's so funny is like I was like, after Fish Tank, I bet you there's a lot more. I bet you since Fish Tank he's got
that was a big hit for him, I think. And I think I think that, and then the second season of World Peace, I think will kind of be, his fans are, I don't know where they are, but they're everywhere, and they're everywhere and nowhere at the same time. So it'll be interesting.
I was talking to Sky Does Minecraft, nobody, Adam. I don't know if you're familiar, but he's doing the whole story fire. He's doing the story fire thing now.
Yeah.
I was talking to him, and he told me that he had been talking to Toby Turner, Tobuscus.
Yeah. Did Toby get like red pilled or something like that?
No, Toby Turner was patient zero of canceling.
I remember
so
that.
He got canceled like patient zero, and he is. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to say red pilled these days, but like he did put up like a conspiracy music video about like space lasers and some shit. Had like a.
Oh, he might have been joking though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
who knows? But he, regardless, I always knew him in real life, and I'll text him here and there, see how he's doing and stuff like that. But Sky's Minecraft was like, oh yeah, he was doing the story fire thing, and he was like talking to me, and he was like, oh, any ideas? He was like, I've spoken to Toby Turner before, and
Sky is
like,
the guy. He had a bit of a controversy too, right? Is that him?
Yeah, he had like a controversy,
the Crater House or something like that.
He had. Like
we don't have to rehash it.
He had a few, so I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's. I think I talked to him for a while, and then we were like DMing, and then he's like, I have to block you because he's pretty progressive, and like I was like, you could just unfollow me. You don't have to block me. I think he like sent me this DM about it. And I was like, dude, it's okay. Like, that's fine. I understand. He had enough of my shit, I think is eventually what happened. He tolerated me for a while.
That's so funny. But he had said, he was like, yeah, I'm a story fire. I spoke to Toby Turner before. Like, he was just like, kind of like ideas of shows that can exist. And I was like, listen, I got a million ideas. This one's for free though. I was like, it's the Bachelor reality show, except it's Toby Turner, and all the girls that he's selecting from, you get Fish Tank contestants.
Oh,
like girls that had been on Fish Tank
crossover,
and and now it's just like the Bachelor crossover with the Fish Tank girls. Toby Turner,
girls,
I'm like right there. I'm tuning in.
Yeah.
Oh, the casting was the best part,
dude. The best part, the most.
It was everything. It was
and then
casting.
bringing in like Airsoft Fatty out of nowhere, like Airsoft Fatty's in the house. Like, what the hell? And then like he's just being like. It was and now they're releasing episodes, which I think people will really. It's easier to consume that way. Because it was like people would tune in when Sam was in the house, but like some of the other stuff, it was hard to keep up.
I had an idea for a reality show that I've sat on for a long time that would exist online, and like I pitched it a couple years ago, never really got traction, and then as soon as Fish Tank happened, I was like, oh fucking hell yeah, because now I have a proof of concept. Because even though it's not my show, I could just show this to people in a pitch and be like, look. A reality show can exist and can do well. And, I asked him, I always ask him a million annoying questions. I'm always like, Sam, why did you
Dude.
threaten to kill that person? And
Yeah.
like, I do bug him, and he's like, now, go train. But I wanted to know just everything about like Fish Tank and all that, and it was a successful show, very successful show.
Yeah, very.
And shout out to
like,
Jet, because Jet was like
yeah.
in the fucking garage 24/7, like making this shit happen.
Yeah.
And it's cool seeing those guys. When I first met them, they were doing their thing. They all had responsibilities, but seeing their opportunities and responsibilities grow, that's cool.
You know what was I'll end with this, but I thought, you know, it was a really surreal moment for me. We would train in the backyard of the Fish Tank house, and the day that Frank Hassel came there. Now, Frank Hassel is a very polarized guy. If you don't know about Frank Hassel, he literally has maybe the world's shittiest tattoo, the entire side of his back, and it's planes crashing into the Twin Towers. And but I just remember walking around the corner. There's Frank Hassel smoking a cigarette, and he's like, "Oh, hey, Jeremy." He's like, just like a normal, like, he's like, "Oh, hey, Jeremy." I'm like, "Hey, Frank Hassel." I just kept walking because I was like, man, I don't know. That guy, he's wild. I had him on the show once. I mean, he's very interesting to talk to, but if you watch some of his old videos, he is like, he might actually be a lunatic. Like, like legitimately like chasing people down the road, throwing hot dogs at him, and they're like getting pissed. And he just keeps doing it. Or when he showed up at Boogie's, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, showing up at Boogie's. That was my first experience encountering with him, was showing up at Boogie's.
For me, I love Frank. I'll allow it. But like, I didn't love it. Like, but Boogie did say show up. He said, show up.
Mm-hmm.
Then freaking Boogie shoots into the air in a school zone. I was like, and now we have a Boogie 2988 mugshot. Like, this is a wild time we're living in right now.
It is. It's so bizarre. Times are weird.
Yeah. Hey, Harley, really, I want to remind everyone who's watching this later on replay, many thousands who are watching us on Rumble. By the way, you should create a Rumble for Epic Mealtime. There are viewers there. Yeah, you should. I mean, there's viewers here. It costs you nothing to just port it over. It takes 5 minutes. I mean, dude, a guy had 100,000 concurrent viewers this morning. Like, there's 50+ million people on Rumble. 70 million, I think. Yeah, and like this whole YouTube stream. I mean, we had like 4K watching on 4K plus watching on YouTube or on Rumble, and like, you know, far fewer on YouTube. So I mean, it's growing, and you know, it costs you nothing to put your shit there. So
you're right. Anyway. I should.
Yeah. So with that, Harley's links, by the way, make sure to check out his Binge Eater podcast. He's again uploading to his Epic Mealtime channel, as well as you can follow him on Twitter, and links to his Spotify, Twitter, and YouTube. Go say hi to Harley on Twitter. Send him, make some like, do some like Canadian racism on him.
And if you do some Jew stuff, you got to bring the heat, guys. Like, I hang around really funny people. So like, if you're gonna bring it, fucking bring it. Don't bring that bottom of the barrel shit. Like, you know, it's a Jew. This is our specialty, is being funny and making fun of ourselves. Yeah. So you got to come with that fire if you're going to bring it, you know?
Yeah.
You got to come with that gas.
Yeah. Right.
Hey, this guy's laughing. What the fuck?
There's a nervous laugh. All right, Harley. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks a lot.
Dude.
Thanks. Sorry for being late.
You're
there.
Good,
and we got a podcast trade. You got to come on mine. I don't have it scheduled quite as ahead of time as you do.
Use that
but
app. It's really helpful. That one I used for scheduling, or you probably have something you use.
I'm going to bug you about a bunch of things after this with the Rumble and with your scheduling and getting you on mine. So,
yep. All right. Cool, man. All right, dude. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, brother.
Have a great weekend, and we'll talk soon.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm going to leave now.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to kick you out. Okay. See you, dude. All right, everybody. That's I'm gonna catch that timestamp for when he came in, and then I'm going to get after it for the weekend. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you Monday at noon.